Oh, there it is. How's everybody doing today? It is Indie Work Live Day. Very excited to be joining you today. So, as you can tell, I am not in my usual spot. Usually it's a green screen behind me. Usually it's, well, that's it. Well, behind that green screen is usually a pile of laundry that needs folding. For those of us who work from home a lot or in the hybrid space, you're probably used to that. So, no, I am in Seattle today. Very excited. I love Seattle so very much. Up here for an event tonight and also see some Indie Agency News members. So speaking of which, thank you to those of you who are Indie Agency News members. Can't thank you enough for your membership. I have to say, I'm very excited about this bit of news. And I don't want to be that person that's I mean, I'm extraordinarily grateful for people joining this mission. And I don't want to be that person on LinkedIn that is, sending up a flare for everything. And I guess I do that. I'm an optimistic fella. But I have to say, this is an important milestone for us. And most importantly, an important milestone for everyone in the indie community. We're proud to say, and we'll be making this announcement a little bit later, but we've hit 50 members on Indie Agency News, 50 agency members, and we have some marketer members in here as well. When we ended 2023, we had 15 members. Now we have 50. And I can't thank you all enough for being part of this mission. I explain to people a lot that this is really chapter 3 of my career. This is what I want to do. I want to be of service to this industry, and it's the indie space that I love the most. And also, we'll have some other things coming up this summer. There will be a sister platform coming up related to brands. It will be called Indie Brand News. And so we're excited for that as well. So things are cooking here in the Pacific Northwest. Things are cooking. But in the meantime, we're going to go to Cleveland. I have to say, Jamie, I've been to Cincinnati. I've been to Columbus. I've been to your hometown of Youngstown. I haven't spent any time in Cleveland, but it's a wickedly creative city. I mean, you could go through the things that people know, which would be Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You could go through a lot of the great history of the city, but I find that cities like Cleveland, cities like Pittsburgh, cities like Chicago have this tension that yields a lot of great creativity. So give us the Cleveland story before we dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. And congratulations, by the way, on the
Thanks,
member
man.
milestone. That's big news. I didn't know that as we
Yeah.
were coming on here.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
congrats. Yeah, of course, Cleveland's great. I mean, a lot of misperceptions about the city. Our friends on the coast will often refer to it as one of those flyover states, but they're missing out. There's a lot of great stuff going on here. A really strong creator and maker community. I think you find that a lot in the Midwest, old Rust Belt towns. There's a rebirth or a resurgence that goes on, and the creative thinking and the creativity, across many sectors in the city really come to the forefront. Even from a culinary perspective,
Right.
numerous James Beard Award winning chefs. Of course, we have our own Iron Chef, Michael Simon, local to Cleveland. And I mean, just the culinary scene, really, given the size of the geographic area of the city, it's just we're just so lucky to have that talent at our doorstep. And of course, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Everybody knows Cleveland for that.
Right.
But the cultural infrastructure, the museums, the orchestra, the playhouse, the theater district is second only to Broadway in the country, and a lot of that stems from the barons of industry during the Industrial Revolution. They made Cleveland their home. Rockefeller is one example, and so the cultural foundation that they put in still exists today, and we all continue to benefit from that.
Yeah, and you take it one step further, like with the Cleveland Clinic, and it's such an important city.
Healthcare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just such an important city in a lot of ways. So, no, thank you for sharing that because, again, I think a lot of people and I think really this is the spirit of what we're trying to achieve here is that, yeah, New York and Chicago and Los Angeles are very well known, and what I always find very interesting is there's a lot of empathy. Even an agency in New York or Brooklyn shares a DNA with an agency from Cleveland or Kansas City or Baton
Yeah.
Rouge or wherever. And I think it's important to keep telling those stories because we do want people to obviously gather and we want members to gather, but we also want members to get together. So I know you could do a weekend in Cleveland from New York very, very easily.
Oh yeah.
So get on out there. Get on out.
Absolutely. Come and
Yes.
visit. Come and
Yes.
see us in the land, as we call
The
it.
the land no, we know that. We know that. Indeed, indeed. So obviously love the agency. Nancy Hill has been a friend forever,
Mhm.
and, amazing leadership. And it one of the things that agencies and I don't think the word struggle is the right word for this, but what I would say is that one thing that agencies take a look at is we have all of these great ideas and we have to figure out can we make this a thing? Can we make it a thing? Can this be something that does some good in the world? Now, when you take a look at good, there could be the commercial component to it, but there's also very much and I'm a big purpose fella. I love it. But when Nancy told me about this project that came up and that you were working on, I was blown away because this is the spirit of what I believe an independent really does very well, which is latch on to an idea and then let's just see if we can run it through. Let's just see if we can run it through. So the walk us through. You know what? Should I play this first and then that will help contextualize it a little bit?
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think
Yeah.
that
So
would help
let's
set it up.
let's
Yeah.
play this. Yeah, let's play this first.
The ABCs of sleep. They're everywhere. In fact, the PSA program has spent tens of millions of dollars in paid media since the 90s. But over 3,400 babies still die each year in the US from being put to bed improperly. It makes you want to put a billboard in every nursery, which is exactly what we did for Cribs for Kids. Now, every crib they give away, 1 million and counting, comes with this sheet. Baby sleeps here. Not in a bed, not in a chair. Baby sleeps on its back. And that is that. No blankies, no stuffies, no fuzzy little hats. And that is that, indeed.
That's such a simple idea.
Yep.
And it's one of those I can't believe we didn't do this sooner. So give us the background on this, please.
Yeah, yeah, simply brilliant. That's how we've talked about it here. So, ABCs of safe sleep, pretty straightforward as you saw in the video. A, alone, baby sleeps alone. B, on its back, baby sleeps on its back, not on its stomach. And C, in a crib, baby sleeps in a crib. Seems pretty straightforward. It's just that simple. It's elementary. How can anybody get it wrong? Yet many people do, and
Right.
to the tune of 3,400 deaths a year, as you also saw in the video. That number is actually down from what used to be almost 12,000 deaths a year, with
Oh,
nearly 100% of those deaths in crib deaths attributed to not following the simple ABCs of safe sleep. And this became more of a relevant issue for us for two reasons. One, we have a children's hospital that's on our roster, and it's been a client of ours for many, many years. I think it's going on a 16-year relationship. So some of the team members here at the agency were well aware of the ABCs of safe sleep and were well versed in that content. But last year, we had 14 team members that were having babies on the
wow.
staff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there might be a whole nother episode that you want to consider. Just how do you run an agency when that amount of folks on your staff are out on maternity leave? There could be a whole
Right.
nother discussion about that. But 14 was a lot, and so a lot of these conversations are popping up in the agency, around the lunch table in the halls. For a lot of these folks, was their first child that they were having, and everybody's willing to share their own thoughts and opinions on what it's like. And it's a super exciting time. It's also a terrifying time. And a lot of conversations around what's all the stuff I got to buy. I got to get this, I got to get the nursery ready, I got to get the crib, I got to get the stuff for the crib, and then you find out you really can't use much of that stuff for a while. And then you wonder why you rushed out to get it all and get it set. But in that conversation, a lot that came up was, well, what's the deal with sleeping? Does the baby sleep on its back? Does the baby sleep on its stomach? Does the baby roll over? Do you roll the baby back over? And so some of the team members here that did have kids, were sharing their thoughts on that. And of course, we live in an age when there's never been more information at our fingertips.
Sure.
But there's information paralysis. There's, every point of view that you find, especially on this topic, you can find an opposite point of view that contrasts it, and so you end up getting paralyzed by the fear, paralyzed by the information, not really sure what you're doing. And the conversation just kind of emerged with a few team members, like maybe there's something we can do about this. There's still way too many deaths that are occurring from not following the simple guidance. And our own team members are thinking about it, worrying about so much stuff. Maybe there's a way we can eliminate a little bit of worry, a little bit of stress from this exciting time from them, and do some good in the process. So that's really where the idea was born. The PSA work certainly has helped, but it hasn't cured the problem.
Sure.
Hasn't fixed the problem. And we kind of frame the challenge as, it's not the message. We still need to communicate that message, but it's not working the way it's being distributed now as an interruptive message through traditional tactics. How can we fix that? What could we make? And one of the things that the team here will tell you, I always say, is, let's not be so smart that we know what can't be done. So let's think non-traditionally about how we might solve this problem. And the idea was, how do we bring the billboard closer to the moment, closer to the occasion, bring the billboard into the nursery, into the crib, and the Safe Sleep was born.
Well, and I think that you bring up a good point. And I've said this before, we as humans are not necessarily designed to just have everything on a screen. There is still this tactile nature of human beings that's incredibly important. And a message this important, I mean, you need that. And the thing about tactile mediums is it can be very easy to just fly by something digitally. I think that, and out of home, I think, is sticky, but it's not, this is about as tactile as it gets.
Right.
And I got to go back to this article I wrote at the Drum, but we were at South by and we had this amazing speaker, and she was talking about the importance of friction. So when you become part of something that is so seamless, there can have real world consequences to that. So this tactile approach to me, and I think that to some creatives, they may look at it and be like, that's old school. And it's like, you know what? Don't think of it as old school. Think of it as tactical and important.
Yeah.
And especially with this. And I just, what are your thoughts on just the tactile nature of what it is we do? Because it disappears a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that 100%. I mean, so much of what we do has a digital touchstone to it, a digital touch point to it. The world is digital. That's the way brands move through the world. And as humans, we kind of experience brands across the journey. We experience brands horizontally, but that's not just the communicated experiences, it's also the lived experiences. And in those lived experiences, there's opportunity for that tactile approach. The moment you're putting your child down, your newborn down into the crib to go to sleep is an incredibly valuable moment. It's a very important moment. And in that split second, being reminded of what you're supposed to do is insanely valuable. We always try to find, we always look at the human journey. We think about the whole journey, not a consumer journey, but a human journey. And of course, in this case, it's a very human journey, raising your first child.
Right.
And along that journey, we look for moments of unmet need where the person we're trying to connect with, the human we're trying to connect with, has a need, a want, has some hurdle or some friction that they need to overcome. And we're constantly thinking about how we can provide some value in that moment. Um, and we would say this is high. As we look at our work, we call it the standard. We evaluate our work, our universal language for creativity. We call the standard. We would say this ranks really high on utility, value in the form of utility.
Right.
Reminding you of the right way to do it in the moment, to ease your mind and help you remember if you forgot. But there's also high emotional value there. I mean,
Yeah.
you're dealing with your most precious, the most precious thing in your life. It's in your hands, and we're helping you care for it in the best way
Right.
possible.
I think I could probably still do a pretty mean swaddle.
It's been a while. I don't know. I wonder about that.
Yeah, no, it's just like, get it tight, get it real tight. So we're gonna talk about a little bit more of the work that the agency is doing. So the backstory on this is I drove up from Portland to Seattle, and like an idiot, I forgot my computer down in Portland. So I have this set up. Unfortunately, I can't share the screen because it would require me to restart the computer. I thought I was nice and slick on this, so apologies on this. But before we get to that, I always ask everybody this, and it's not necessarily just this project, but what do you believe is the best way to sell through work to a client? How do you sell through ideas? And everybody has similar experiences and sometimes similar answers to this, but I'm curious from your perspective, what's the best way to sell through work to a client?
Yeah, it's a great question. Obviously this case was a little bit different because we were the client. We were making it for our team members. And then the one thing we didn't talk about, ultimately we did partner with an organization, a national organization called Cribs for Kids, that
Yeah,
we found, and their mission is about helping every baby sleep safer. And so we reached out to them and said, hey, we created this thing. We used it as a gift for our team, but maybe it could help some other people and help further your mission. And they were thrilled to pick it up. And so now, they're gonna produce the sheet and amplify the message. And to date, they've helped create over 1 million safe sleep environments for kids. So we're gonna
oh,
help contribute to that number and help them realize the mission of getting these crib deaths down to zero, and,
right.
and eradicating the issue. So we're very happy about that. And it's the ability to use creativity. Creativity is one of our superpowers, to be able to use creativity for good.
Yeah,
In this case, more of a philanthropic good. Um, but we also think about good on behalf of the brands we're working for. Like I said, we look at the human journey, think about those opportunities, try to bring some value to people. Our work, we believe, has to be more valuable than an interruptive message. Our industry was built on that philosophy. Today, consumers' attention is stretched beyond belief, and consumers aren't willing to trade their time and attention for something that inherently doesn't have value for them in
right.
their lives. And so we think that's a better approach, an evolved approach, from where our industry has started. So in the context of that, your question was, how do you sell that through then? Our clients are about driving business outcomes.
Right.
That's what their job is to do. And we have to earn their trust and get them to understand that we know that's their job, and that we understand what those key business metrics are. We understand what we need to do to move their business forward. And if we're not moving their business forward, we're probably not going to be a partner of theirs for
Right.
very long. And so we often start the conversation there. What is your business challenge? What's your business need? And they tell us, but we ask a lot of questions. We actually we like to say we ask a better question, and that's what leads us to our inspired thinking.
Ah,
So we always ask, hey, what's the problem? I understand what you need to do and what you think you need to do to get there, but what's the real problem that we're trying to solve here? What's the root problem that we need to address? And we often reframe the challenge to address that problem. Then we link that directly to how that solution is going to drive those business outcomes. So the
right.
conversation actually starts with business outcomes, not creative ideas. The creativity, the creative problem solving, the solutions we come up with, the collaborative solutions that we come up with as an organization are all geared towards driving those outcomes. And once the client understands that we understand their motivation and their objective, then they're more willing to trust us. They're more willing to allow us to push them into territory that is maybe feels a little more risky for them, a
Mm-hmm.
little less comfortable for them. Um, I'd mentioned the standard is our universal language for creativity. We share that with our clients. And what I think is often the case, and I'm sure you've seen and heard this as well, clients will often talk to us about, how do I differentiate my brand? We know where our competitors are. We know where they're positioned, where we're positioned. How do I differentiate my brand? need to stand out, need to break through. Yet when you look at a lot of the work that they're producing, it adheres to pretty much every norm of the category. So if you want to differentiate yourself, how do you expect to do that by embracing the norms of the category? You've got to
Right.
bust those norms. You have to break those norms and rise above them. That inherently involves risk.
Yeah.
And, if you don't trust that, that our motivation is your motivation that's driving your business outcomes, then you're less likely to accept that risk from
Right.
our because of our point of view.
Yeah.
And that's what I've found, and our group has found, where we have more success is earning the client's trust through that universal understanding of their motivation, their objectives, and then showing them how this thing that we're putting in front of them is the thing that's going to drive those outcomes for them.
Right. Do you still have the Ohio lottery?
We do. It's
That category,
yeah.
man. Oh, how long have you had that? How long have you had that?
So this is a crazy fact. Over 45 years they've been a client.
What?
I think we literally at some point helped to a certain degree create the Ohio lottery. I'm not, that's how long it goes back. But we created the first live lottery show. There's these shows where
it's in Pennsylvania, New Jersey. You watch it in South Jersey. It's like, here come the numbers.
Yep. That's exactly it. So, but that's a great case of where, we've been breaking category norms for that client. One piece of work, and it's on our website. I know you can't bring it up, but we call it playable radio. So the strategy that we implemented for the lottery was, how do we gamify everything? Lottery inherently is about gaming. It's about the thrill of winning. And for younger audiences, like most brands, the lottery needs to connect to a younger audience. Younger audiences think of the lottery as this old, outdated, analog kind of experience that's not relevant to them.
Right.
So how do we make it relevant to this younger audience? And so we decided that there was an opportunity to kind of gamify every touch point. And there's a number of things that we've done. Most recently, we took terrestrial radio, 60-second radio, and we're like, how can we gamify radio? How can we turn a radio spot into a game?
Mm-hmm.
And so what we came up with was a 60-second song. The lyrics of the song basically tell you that it's a game and how you play the game. And we created those songs in 3 different genres: rock, pop, and country. And as it turns out, by the way, huge segment of millennials and Gen Z actually still listen to terrestrial radio. We were blown away by that insight. We thought it would skew heavily streaming. And we were surprised to learn that it doesn't necessarily. So we took advantage of that, decided to gamify radio. And so you hear the song, it tells you it's a game, and you use your phone. So you either Shazam it or ask Siri to identify the song, or if you're on a Google platform, it works in a similar way. The song title comes up as being identified as a song, and you engage with that. It takes you to a website, and you have a chance to win $500. And it's the results that it drove engaging with this younger audience were phenomenal. We ran it as a test in one market for a few weeks. The results looked incredible. We scaled it, saw exponentially greater returns on that investment, and it's been a huge success for the lottery. And the lottery has what they call My Lotto Rewards. It's basically a loyalty club, rewards club.
Right.
And so in order to play the game, you had to give us your email to sign up for the club. So that first party data is incredibly important for us, and how we leverage that for additional experiences across the journey.
Yeah, it's so funny. I've explained this to brands that terrestrial radio, and having been in it for 15 years, that's a great canvas to work from, because you can have a level of ownership if you do really good creative, and that is so we'll probably talk about that one later. We'll definitely talk about that one later. We'll bring you back. We like you, Jamie.
I'm making a good first impression. I appreciate it.
But it's interesting, because I think that it is important to it is very, very important to dig into things like this, ideas like this, because the goal is, Marcus Thomas is doing this. Who's to say that Quantity can't do the same thing in LA? Who's to say that FOMO Creative can't do the same thing in Seattle?
That's right.
And or be inspired by it. Not necessarily the same thing, but it's really important. So no, I give you kudos on that. So number one, very tough category. Number two, a vinyl medium, an analog medium in a digital world. So way to bridge that. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
The interesting thing about it is we try to enter that in award shows. It's really difficult because it doesn't, like, the traditional radio category.
Titanium, titanium.
That's coming up. We're getting our can entries together. That might be one of them.
Put it in titanium. I love that category. It's just whatever.
Right. I
love it. All right, Jamie, listen, we're going to have you back for sure. This is really great stuff. And we will definitely get people over to the website. My apologies for, forgetting my computer. All right. Yeah. All right, Jamie, I'm going to put you backstage for a second and wrap this up. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right. Thanks, Doug. I appreciate the opportunity. Talk to you soon.
You got it. All right. That was amazing. Yeah, I do want to dig into that. Maybe we'll dig into the radio piece with our friends at Oink Inc. Radio. They are new Indie Agency News members. If you are interested in membership, please go to indieagency.news. There's a little WhatsApp icon in the corner of the site. That gets to me. That's WhatsApp. So hit me up. Happy to spend some time with you to talk about our mission. Our brief is very simple. Building the global home for independent agencies. Our mission is very clear, serving independent agencies and the brilliant people behind them. Let's take it one step further. Greater visibility for independent agencies and more choice for marketers. On behalf of all of us at Indie Agency News, I'm Doug Zanger, and we'll see you next time.